Hi, guys, and welcome to the Truth Factor, where we do headlines with an attitude. And we have just a few headlines tonight, but we're going to get right into them, guys. Anyway, for those that have never been here before, we have every article archived in the Wixit in the description of the box below. Sometimes I get busy and I don't get to put them in the Wixit, but they're in the Wixit tonight, guys. I think I have a couple of videos that probably have them just in the comment section, but I always share the links. Anyway, God bless you all. Let's get right into today's headlines, guys. Hello, Miss Helen. How are you? All righty. We have a major gas leak reported in Darke County neighborhood. This comes from Yahoo News, which is sharing it from WHIO TV7. Residents in Greenville neighborhood were asked to leave their homes Monday afternoon after a major natural gas leak. The leak has been reported in the area of North Main Street and Spring Street, according to the Greenville Police Department. Neighbors are asked to self-evacuate and take all medications and pets with them. Anyone who smells gas inside their home is asked to call 911. Power may be shut off as CenterPoint Energy makes repairs, the police department said. We have News Center 7 crew on the scene and will continue to update this story. And this was, I think, 5:12, so about an hour ago. But this is 2 hours, I guess, because it was Eastern time and it's 6, so it's 7 there almost. So about 2 hours ago. Then we also have the ISIS carries out the church bombing in the Philippines. This is an update from yesterday, guys. There was 4 killed and over 50 injured. When we reported it yesterday, I don't believe it had the, the fatalities listed or the injured. So we'll cover it again today. 4 people were killed and over 50 injured in a bombing at a Catholic mass being held on Sunday morning at the Mindanao State University Gymnasium in Mari City, Philippines, according to a media report. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attacks, stating it targeted a large gathering of Christian disbelievers in Mari, predominantly Muslim city, according to the site intelligence group, which monitors extremist group activities online. Llano del Sur Providence Governor Manuel Adong Jr. said that more than 40 individuals were receiving treatment. A local government hospital with others treated for minor injuries at the university's infirmary. The attack coincided with the start of Advent, a period leading to Christmas when mass attendance typically increase. The Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. condemned the attack on social media, describing it as senseless and most heinous and attributed it to foreign terrorists. Euronews reported he assured the public that additional security personnel were deployed to respond to the incident. The United States also condemned the attack. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller expressed solidarity with the Philippines, reaffirming the U.S. commitment to standing against such acts of violence. Mindanao, known for its significant Muslim population, has a history of insurgency and extremist violence. In 2017, the city of Mari was besieged by ISIS-affiliated militias, a conflict that displaced over 350,000 residents and lasted 5 months. Brig General Alan Nobles, the regional police commander, suggested that Dala Islama Mahdi group might be behind the bombing. The speculation follows the deaths of 11 group members, including the group leader in Llano del Sur, in recent encounter with the Philippine Army, hinting at a possible retaliation, according to the BBC. Armed Forces Chief Romero Bronner also acknowledged the possibility of the bombing being a retaliatory act. Officials believe the grenade or improvised bomb caused the explosion. Photos circulating on social media show the aftermath inside the gymnasium with scattered chairs and debris, but no significant structural damage to the building. Medano State University expressed its horror at the violence, emphasizing that such acts have no place in civilized society, especially in educational institutions. The university has suspended all academic activities and increased security measures on campus. Medano's history of insurgency includes the 2012 agreement between Manila and the country's largest Muslim rebel group to establish autonomous region, with the first elections for the regional assembly held in 2022. Despite this, sporadic violence continues. Mm. All right, guys, I was eating chips before, and sometimes you get feel like you still have something caught in your throat. Well, I got that feeling, but anyway. Nuclear site hit in the UK. Now, this is from End Time Headlines. Nuclear site in the UK hacked by groups linked to Russia and China. The UK's most hazardous nuclear site, Sellafield, has been hacked into a cyber group closely linked to Russia and China, The Guardian can reveal. The astonishing disclosure and its potential effects have been consistently covered by a senior staff at the vast nuclear waste and decommissioning site the investigation has found. The Guardian has discovered that the authorities do not know exactly when the IT systems were first compromised, but sources said breaches were first detected as far back as 2015, when experts realized sleeper malware, software that can lurk and can be used to spy or attack systems, has been embedded in Sellafield's computer networks. It is still not known if the malware has been eradicated. It may mean some Sellafield's most sensitive activities, such as moving radioactive waste, monitoring for leaks of dangerous material, and checking for fires, have been compromised. Sources suggest it is likely foreign hackers that have accessed the highest echelons of the confidential material at the sites, which sprawls across 6 square kilometers on the Cumbrian coast and is one of the most hazardous in the world. The full extent of any data loss and any ongoing risk to the system was made harder to quantify by Sellafield's failure to alert nuclear regulators for several years, sources said. The revelations have emerged in Nuclear Leaks, a year-long Guardian investigation into cyber hacking, radioactive contamination, and toxic workplace culture field, as Sellafield said. Guys, this is horrible that it takes somebody, doing some digging and leaking this information out just for it to be reported of this huge, attack on this, nuclear waste plant. And apparently it's one of the most, harmful ones in all of the land, right? Or all of the world for that matter. That's crazy. Anyway, there's a little bit more there to read if you'd like to read it. Okay, then we also have from Newsweek, NATO allies suddenly blocks weapons for Ukraine. I guess the love affair is over, guys. The Bulgarian president, Roman Redva, vetoed the transfer of 100 decommissioned armored vehicles from Sofia to Ukraine on Monday, just weeks after the Bulgaria's parliament approved the agreement. According to the Bulgarian broadcaster Nova, Radva sent the agreement back to the parliament for a new discussion, stating that the representatives who signed off on the deal were not familiar enough with the issue. The Bulgarian National Assembly ratified the agreement between its country's Interior Ministry and Ukraine's Ministry of Defense on November 22nd. In Sofia, officials said that the transport vehicles were no longer needed by Sofia's military. NATO's members, including Bulgaria, have been steadfast in their support for Ukraine's fight against Russia's aggression. But as tensions rise between Russia and members of the military alliance, some European countries have begun taking steps to secure their own borders in case the fighting spreads beyond Ukraine. In this motion published by Nova Monday, Radvit said he does not think that the representative Bulgarian's National Assembly sufficiently investigated whether the vehicles in question were no longer needed by Sofia's Ministry of Internal Affairs. From this discussion during the adoption of the draft law in the National Assembly, it is clear that a large part of them were not familiar with the specific list of equipment provided at the time of the vote, which makes it impossible for them to assess whether it is actually no longer necessary, Radvit wrote. Basically, it's a stalling gesture, guys. They're stalling. Um, you know, uh, I think everyone knows that Ukraine is on its last leg, and I think maybe the leg just got pulled. Other NATO members, including the United States, have also promised to send tanks to Ukraine's front lines, according to the report from the BBC in September. Washington has signed off on providing 31 of its Abrams tanks to Kyiv. Ukraine has also poised to receive armored vehicles from United Kingdom, 14 Challenger 2 tanks, Germany 14 Leopard tanks, and Spain 6 Leopard 2 tanks. Anyway, interesting all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden we're not sure we have the enough information. Yeah, not even funny. All right, this here is from War News 247, guys. Before we get into this knell for conflict in the Baltic, we'll see how everybody's doing. Hi there, Mary. How are you? You saw troops are deployed. I'm not sure where they deployed to, but okay. We are well here, Helen. Thank you so much. We will continue to pray for you. Absolutely, Mary. Absolutely. I hear you, Ryan. Yes, she is, Mary. Yes, she is. Oh, man. We'll be praying for you, Ryan. And cups. Oh, man. You got to be in a lot of pain. Get you some rest, Ryan. Get you some rest. 3 zombies move out there. I got you. I got you there, brother. Okay, so let's get into War News 247. A knell for conflict in the Baltic. Russian response to NATO with the St. Petersburg Army. All fleets were placed under the command of the Russian agent. The Russian Navy is immediately reorganizing its forces as it prepares for a conflict with NATO in the Baltic. A new report from the Russian intelligence service speaks for gradual progress in the implementation of the blockade of Kaliningrad. Moscow is preparing for conflict with main zones of operations, the entire Baltic, St. Petersburg, the Gulf of Finland, Kaliningrad, and the Suwalki corridor. In particular, the St. Peter's Army evokes memories of the wars with Finland. For this reason, of the 4 fleets, the Caspian flotilla are being withdrawn from the military areas to which they belonged until now and are now directly subordinate to Gen Nikol Ivamin. More specifically, from December 1st, the Caspian Fleet, the Pacific Fleet, the Baltic Fleet, and the Black Sea Fleet withdrew from their respective areas from the Northern Fleet, also lost the status of Joint Strategic Command. At the same time, the ground forces, the Air Force, and the Army Air Defense, which were previously part of the Northern Fleet, are transferred to the Leningrad Military District. All fleets report directly to the Chief of the Navy. The Central Naval headquarters will be moved out of St. Petersburg, most likely to Moscow. The reorganization provides for the creation of 2 military districts, Moscow and Leningrad. The Leningrad military districts will be recreated to fend off threats from Finland and Estonia. The Moscow military districts the new Russian report speaks of gradual progress and foreseen blockade of Kaliningrad. It specifically mentions the Baltic theater of operations has always been the most complicated and difficult for the Russian fleet, and geographically, the situation is now the worst since the 18th century. Today, Russia has only one way to supply its enclave: by sea. We remind you that Poland and Lithuania have restricted the transit of Russian goods to Kaliningrad. In fact, we are seeing a gradual blockade of Kaliningrad. At the end of April, the U.S. Armed Forces conducted the Global Thunder 2023 strategic nuclear exercise in Europe. An indicative stage of the exercise was the attack on the Kremlin by the UAVs launched from Ukraine using a NATO guidance system. Despite jamming the GPS and control channels, an enemy drone hit hit the spire of the Senate building. A similar check of Russian air defenses took place at the end of July. The Ukrainian UAV raid was organized 4 to 5 kilometers from the National Defense Control Center, as well as communication centers of the main command of NATO. To be clear, in the event of war, NATO will not use drones, but cruise missiles, perhaps hypersonic ones. The arrival time will be 5 to 10 minutes. The command of Russian armed forces will have just that much time to make and implement a decision to retaliate by strategic missile force. Further, in June, the United States deployed all 6 of its nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines to the Atlantic and 2 more to the Pacific Ocean. This gives them an advantage in the event of a nuclear exchange. Meanwhile, Russia did not respond to this step. After developing its nuclear forces, the United States began to politically expel Russia from the Baltic. Initially, Washington used the Baltic states, specifically the president of Latvia, announced the urgent need to close the Baltic Sea to all Russian ships, effectively seeking a preemptive strike against him to trigger Article 5. In turn, Denmark announced its intention to close the straits to the Russian ships in Estonia and Norway, following the example of Finland. Closed border checkpoints with the Russian Federation, leaving only one loophole open. In addition, the German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius recently declared that Lithuania is trapped by Königsberg, Russia, and Belarus, and sent one of those most battle-ready tank brigades to blockade Kaliningrad. It should be noted that NATO exercises in the Baltic may also limit access to Kaliningrad. Thus, during the Freezing Winds 23 exercise, access to the maritime area in neutral waters was temporarily restricted, and Russian ships had to make a huge detour. If they want, they can conduct several exercises at the same time, which will make it impossible to go to Kaliningrad, even if there is no real blockade. We're going to kind of jump around just a little bit. Not reading everything, but just the bold right now, guys. Together, they laid so many mines that by the end of summer of 1941, the Baltic fleet was paralyzed. Currently, NATO countries are actively preparing for a war in the Baltic, where they will first try to pin down the Baltic fleet. So here you guys can see the lovely little map. And that is what we have. And I know we need a little bit of history, but sometimes we don't need all the history, right? Hey there, Rip Curl. How are you, brother? Yeah, I don't think any of those areas can really truly be a threat. But when you combine all of the areas and you add, a little more manpower, a little more of it, this and a little more of that, they can sustain themselves. How's that? I think they should be able to sustain themselves. That is awesome. Good to hear. And that's just my opinion. Again, absolutely. It's NATO. No, it's all of the countries coming together, really, basically. If they all show up, I think that would be hard for Russia, for anybody, to be honest. Now, if Russia's and his pals join forces and they all show up, then, it's not going to go well. Anyway, all right. So then we also have from End Time Headlines. This is kind of crazy. An ex-Navy SEAL launches an AI tool to stop mass gunmen in their tracks. Now, guys, what was that movie, Tim, with
what?
Tom Cruise, where they went into the future to get you before you committed the crime? That's what this reminds me of, guys.
Minority Report.
Minority Report. Anyway, this is kind of crazy, but it also, in my opinion, tells you how, if you, act out, how they can control you and stop you, right? In my opinion. Anyway, a company co-founded by a former U.S. Navy SEAL is harnessing an artificial intelligence to protect churches and faith-based schools from potential attacks. As concerns grows over mass shooting, Zero Eyes co-founder Rob Hubbardtree told 700 Club his company is using artificial intelligence to protect potential targets like schools and house of worships. We take your existing video cameras and we process every frame by frame, every image, every video feed that you have, he said. We use our AI that goes over them. And what it does is it looks for guns that are exposed. Within seconds, Zero Eye pinpoints the type of guns being brandished and alerts five first responders about the nature of the potential threats, as well as types of weapons assailants that might have. Now, guys, I don't know about you, but there are many church members that carry. So I don't think that this would really serve the churches very well, in my opinion, for that, and there's a lot of states that have open carry. So again, it's going to make it, you're going to be targeting your your congregation. Dominic Loco, president Lacine Catholic High School in Michigan, and Zero Eyes users said the product offers peace of mind to his high school community. I can see where it would come in hand in a school setting, possibly, because you don't want people, they're not supposed to have guns anyway. So I could see that. But for churches, I just kind of disagree with that one there. My initial reaction was basically, how can we not do this? He said, especially when you look at the tragic history of these types of scenarios and you see the advantage of the response that the AI gives you. He continued, as an administrator of a school, obviously you never want something like this to ever happen, but you also want to know that you've done everything possible to make the school as safe as possible. Matt Montana, safety director at the Valley Baptist Church in Bakersfield, California, agrees. People want to do us harm. And when I say us, I mean men, women, and the Christian faith, because we live in a broken world. He said there's a lot of sin out there and the innocence is preyed upon. Montana's church is preparing to roll out Zero Eyes. As a former law enforcement officer, Montana said the real-time intelligence capabilities can help mitigate potential threats and save lives. Even the more presence and knowledge about Zero Eyes being employed, he said, could make a difference. What we're doing here, that in itself may deter somebody who has thought of doing harm to people at Valley Baptist Church, he said. Maybe in California where they have such strict gun laws and rules anyway, I guess, but I know for, churches, say in Texas and, other places that have open carry laws, and half the congregation goes in toting a gun. I don't think that's going to be a sufficient thing, but what can I say? I definitely think that it's a good move for schools if it can locate guns, when guns aren't supposed to be there. So, it could be a good thing. What say you? Yes, absolutely. That's what I say. The Zero Eyes it's absolutely going to be targeting those people that, are law-abiding citizens that probably carry and have a permit to carry or open carry. And I can see this going in the wrong direction. But for children, Helen, don't you think that it would be a good thing for schools? I think that it would help in that scenario. I don't necessarily think that, I don't oppose it in schools because, nobody's supposed to have a gun to begin with, unless you are a police officer, of which the system should recognize and that situation, right? Absolutely. I agree with you. But I would consider it in a school setting, I think, and in all general, information, if it's just to target, people carrying guns. But it might give a false sense of security, and there could be a glitch. Somebody could hack the system. There could be a lot of different things that take place, right? So it's one of those things, I guess, that you have to go, with your gut, I guess, if you want your child exposed to that type of thing. I think it could be good for the children in all seriousness in school settings. But as far as other places, what does anybody else say about it? What do you think about it? Absolutely, I'm against it in the church setting. I'm against it for any other facility, except for possibly a school setting where you're not supposed to have a gun to begin with. So, but that's my opinion, right? Anyway, there we go. I thought, it was an interesting article. I do have some for your eyes section. I'll pull it up here so you guys can see why it's in the for your eyes section. Here's one about, Pluto's sun. You can see why we kept it down there. Then we have also zero hedge. Now, guys, I think that this is just a travesty in all seriousness. I mean, most kids don't have a clue what people call blackface, wearing a blackface. I mean, this kid was supporting his dang on local NFL team. I mean, people need to get over it. I think that if you are trying to push racism and racial divide, I guess this is what they're doing here in that instance. I think it's a travesty. Anyway, I hope those parents sue the pants off those people, off of that journalist, because that's how it all started. Was some stupid journalist got his 2 seconds of fame out there. Anyway, Remington closes up shop in New York after 200 years and heads for more welcoming red states. I have mixed feelings about this article, guys, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read the article or read a good bit of it, and then I'll tell you what my mixed feelings is. Well, no, this isn't for your for your eyes. This is in for your eyes section, so I'm not going to read it. You're going to read it, but I'm going to give you my opinion on this. Okay, so this is my opinion on this Remington deal thing. I think it's a bad deal. I think it's a bad deal. I think that if we close up shop and we leave an area, because guess what? You're in an area that is so hard. You're giving in, you're giving in to what they want. And I think that sends the wrong message, in my opinion. Now, granted, I get it. I get the mere fact that, some people it's just too much of a fight. And a part of me says, oh yeah, I'll take your business elsewhere because, you're paying taxes in that state. You're helping the economy, hurt them where it hits them. Right. But it's like a give and take. There's just so much there, I'm just not a quitter. And to me, this would be quitting when you throw in the towel and you leave the era because, of the political arena there. And that's what it all boils down to. Anyway, that is what I have for you guys this evening. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. We will have prayer. I'm waiting on dinner. So I'm not quite sure, 7-ish, I don't know what time. He's on the phone over there, I guess, talking to his friends. Oh, he's playing. Oh my gosh. Anyway, we'll be back with some Bible after dinner. Anyway, I love you guys. I hope to see you all there for yes. And I share stuff on Telegram when I can. And I need to probably check my own Telegram. Check Telegram. We share lots of stuff that we can't talk about here. That's for sure, Boomstick. Absolutely. Anyway, love y'all, and we will see you all later. Bye. Did Telegram download